everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Boss Ravioli Queens with your two favorite caregivers, Nicole Ravioli.
Boss Lady Amy.
This episode is called something. One person tragedy.
One person tragedy.
This episode is called One Person Tragedy.
So sorry.
So we're being silly right now, but we won't be for this episode because
this is actually a very
it's a really serious
episode.
kind of sad episode,
sorry.
but I messed up and she messed up and it's been a mess.
We didn't know it was recording.
We didn't. It's fine. Everything's fine. Can you do the thing?
I can do
Julie.
Okay. Hi, hello. If you're new here, welcome. We're the Boss Ravioli Queens. We have a combined caregiving experience of 21 years.
We do.
And we decided to start this podcast a couple years ago to talk about caregiver advocacy, healthcare, all the things, trending topics that relate to caregiving. So you can go back and you can watch all of our old episodes on YouTube. You can also go back and listen to our old audio-only episodes anywhere you listen to podcasts. We are not currently releasing the audio-only episodes. I think we're going to get back to that pretty soon, so stay tuned. But you can also catch our new episodes on YouTube every week. So come along on this journey with us. Come on
in. The
Come
water's
on.
fine.
We'll learn something together. We'll laugh. We'll cry. We'll do other stuff. Okay. That's it.
What kind of other stuff?
I don't know. We'll find out when we get there.
Shameless plug over.
Dink. Okay.
Okay. So, this episode is called One Person Tragedy because there's been an update on a case that happened last year. A woman named Diamond, who worked at the nursing home Jefferson Manor in, I think, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, that sounds right.
She got indicted on October 2nd because she was using a Hoyer lift and the resident slipped out of the side of the sling and ended up passing away due to blunt force trauma from landing on the legs of the Hoyer.
Yep.
So, that's why this episode is called One Person Tragedy, because really, when you're using a Hoyer, you absolutely should have two people. I can almost guarantee you that the reason that this happened is because they were understaffed.
Correct.
Because everywhere in healthcare is understaffed always. So, like, how do we prevent those problems? Because really, had there been someone available to help her,
Probably
this
wouldn't have happened.
wouldn't have happened. And that's like another reason that we started the podcast anyway, advocacy. Caregiver advocacy. Because really, again, if she would have had that second person available, this probably would not have happened. You would have had two sets of eyes on the Hoyer. The loops would have matched up because I don't know what happened. I don't know if the sling wasn't placed right under the resident, like they were too far one way, or if the loops didn't match up and it like tipped.
Okay, so for those of you who are not in caregiving, we should probably explain what that means. So, a Hoyer is a mechanical hydraulic lift that lifts people out of their wheelchairs into their beds into their wheelchairs, shower, vice versa.
Actually, loop. Loop. It looked like this.
Loop. So this Hoyer lift it's like the brand. It's kind of like where a jacuzzi, where like people will say jacuzzi meaning just like regular hot tub, but the Hoyer is just one brand out of these mechanical lifts, but it's like the brand. It's the one that everybody uses, even if you don't have a Hoyer. People still call it a Hoyer.
Well, that's like the easy stand.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the brand, but there's plenty different like off brands.
Correct. So, with a Hoyer, this is for people who can't bear any weight whatsoever. So it's a machine that lifts them out of their chair or whatever, and you put a sling under them, and so it covers like their whole entire back. Some slings are made special where they have neck support, but not all of them are like that. And then it has like these things that kind of
straps
that they like thin out at the bottom so that they provide support to lift the person up. So, I mean, they didn't provide details, but like it's a standard thing in caregiving where whenever you hook somebody up in the Hoyer, you always cross the straps underneath them so they have extra support. I don't know if that happened. Another thing is they have loops on either sides, and then they have hooks onto the Hoyer, and you always have to make sure that the loops that you are hooking onto the Hoyer
Match up on each
match up,
side.
and each one is a different color, and they also have like,
Not always.
well, sometimes depending on what kind of sling you have. And then they will also be they'll have like a certain distance apart, and then
Mm-hmm.
that will help you tell like which is the top one. Some of them don't have a middle, some of them do, and then they'll always at least have a top and a bottom.
I actually hate the ones with a middle.
I like those. I feel like they're
Mm.
more secure.
Those are the bane of my existence.
But I mean, there's so many unknowns here because we don't know. All we know is that she was using the lift alone. We don't know if that was
And
by
that the resident
choice.
fell out.
Correct. We don't know if that was because they were short staffed or because she was just trying to be like, no, I got it. I'll do it myself. We don't know if she hooked her up or them hooked them up incorrectly. We have no idea what happened. We don't know if the straps were crisscrossed. Like, we have no idea. But I guess there's a couple things that you're always taught as far as safety goes, like general Hoyer safety. You always crisscross the legs. You
Well, a lot of slings now, like they've updated to where they don't have the crisscross anymore, and it's just one solid, like
Oh
rectangular
yeah.
piece of fabric. I actually haven't seen ones with legs in a while.
I mean, I almost feel like that would be safer because it kind of creates like a seat
Yeah.
almost. And yeah, we don't know what kind of sling that they use. They could have used like a dilapidated 20-year-old sling. We have no idea. Um,
And one of those like pump hoyers.
yeah, it could have been a hand pump. Those are
The
horrible.
manuals suck. They
And
suck
that's
so
another thing
much.
is like they also didn't it also didn't specify like if she was putting the person up or down, because I mean if you hit the wrong button, like there's an emergency stop, so like that literally will drop them. If you hit the emergency button, it could drop the person out of the air. So there's too many
Well,
unknowns.
they also didn't specify if the resident was like moving around a bunch in the sling,
Yep.
because that's also a thing. Like you can have combative residents in a sling, and
It
it's
can be
dangerous.
dangerous, like especially if it's a resident who's very heavy and they are very like if they have intense behaviors, they can literally like make the Hoyer topple over. I've had residents that were swinging so hard while they were in the Hoyer that it almost fell over. And it's kind of like, who do you blame in those situations? Like I mean, it's not the member, but it's also not really on the staff. Like, if they took all the preventative measures, what are you supposed to do?
Right. And like also it brings me I'm so sorry. It brings me back to the meme about the zip tie where it can't run over a zip tie.
Oh, yeah.
Can lift like 3 to 400 pound people and move them, but can't run over a zip tie.
Mm-hmm.
It will in fact stop on a dime.
Yep. So, I mean, obviously, they can't release too much information because it also is like an ongoing investigation. HIPAA is
Mm-hmm.
also a thing. But I just, like, I have seen a lot of nasty comments about how that lady should have never been operating the Hoyer by herself. And we don't know the situation. It could have been a really awful, completely preventable tragedy, or it could have been a situation where it was bound to happen. Like, we just don't know.
And also, like, I'm sure this woman is probably beating herself up so bad.
Oh, for sure.
Because something like that, like, I've had to use Hoyers by myself, and if that would have happened to me because I messed something up when putting the sling, like hooking it up to the Hoyer or like whatever the case was, I would feel awful for the rest of my life
Mm-hmm.
already, like as it stands, and now she has to have like a whole trial.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
I just people who don't work in healthcare who don't even know what a Hoyer is shouldn't say anything about it.
Yep.
Like you can't understand fully unless you've been in healthcare and you've been in that situation.
Yep.
And actually, the company that we work for, single staffs all the time. I've had to use Hoyers by myself. I don't know, probably over 1,000 times working for this company.
Another thing, so Hoyers are one of those things that, like, so you have the DHS, the Department of Health or whatever, and then they give like guidelines as to what can be done and what cannot be done in facilities. And the one of the things that they leave up to like the states, each individual state, is their Hoyer rules and regulations. And so every state gets to decide whether or not they um they
Require two
right
people.
require one or two people. And like one of the state that we are in, they require.
They leave it up to the
Yep,
companies.
yep, exactly.
However, if you're a CNA in a nursing home or a hospital, they do still require two. It's that CBRFs and AFHs have a different set of guidelines and rules.
Yep, they leave it up to each individual facility. And so like our facility requires obviously at least one person because you can't operate it with nobody. But unless it's written in that individual's care plan that that person requires two staff for transfers, you only need one person,
Yeah, that part.
which is terrifying.
It is. I hate it.
Because there's been plenty of times where a care plan is just completely inaccurate, and the guardian may think, oh, they're fine, they don't need two people, when in actuality we do in fact need two people.
Do you remember the bigger dude with like red hair had a bunch of nerve damage and everything and couldn't roll onto one of his sides, would like hit and punch if people did that kind of thing?
Oh yeah.
So you remember how large he was? He was a big, tall, like chunkier guy.
Burly dude.
Yeah. I had to get him in a Hoyer by myself multiple times because other staff were too afraid to shower him because he had a lot of damage to one side of his body and they wouldn't be gentle with it and they wouldn't explain what they were doing beforehand.
And then he would throw
And
punches.
then he would punch and kick with his good side.
And he was very strong.
He was very strong. I don't know, he and I always got along and I tried to explain to other people what to do, but they never would listen. So anyways, I had to use the Hoyer with him in it by myself so often. And that was terrifying because, like I said, he's a really big guy. He was like, what, 6'3", I think?
Something.
6'3", probably, I don't know, 300 pounds. And it's not like he was like super fat or anything. He was just a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, scary. Didn't love it, but had to do it.
I second that. I also never had a problem with him because every time I ever worked there, I'd literally just tell him what I was doing. All he just hated when people didn't tell him what they were doing.
Well, yeah, because like you're being flipped over like a damn burger or a pancake. Like flipped to one side, and of course he had the nerve damage on the one side, so it was painful for him.
Yep. Yeah. And on, that could have been another thing. We don't know that the whole situation that happened in the nursing home. Like, it could have been a situation of she didn't communicate what she was doing to the resident, and then the resident flipped out. Like, we have no idea.
It's all speculation at this point.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I'd say that you really can't do is you can't blame the worker. Like, unless they prove that this is like 100% very clear negligence, I don't think that she should be. I mean, yes, she should be investigated, sure, but I don't necessarily know if she should be criminally indicted. Like, we just don't know.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, she's probably beating herself up bad enough already. I mean, I don't know this woman. I have no idea who she is. Don't know her from John, but like it's a sad thing to see, and I think once all of the details do come out, then we can as a
determine.
whole, like determine really what happened, if it really was her fault because she was being negligent or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
But I definitely do think that anybody watching this who is in healthcare and like healthcare workers in general definitely need to take this as like a warning. Like, proceed with caution because if it happened to someone else, it can definitely happen to you.
Yep. And I mean, those accidents can happen so fast. Like, you can be doing everything right, and then all of a sudden, some weird thing, some fluke happens, and then the Hoyer's tipped upside down. Like, it happens all of the time. There's been so many times where I did everything perfectly, and then I got caught on, like, a cord or something, and then I'm, like, trying to push the machine, and then before I know it, it starts tipping. Like, it can happen easily.
And that's when that adrenaline kicks in and you magically get the Hoyer back on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's like a mother lifting a car.
seriously. That is, yeah, caregiver adrenaline is wild. Like, that is one thing that you do not know what it feels like until you experience it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Until you have to pick up a 400-pound woman, like, with either by yourself or like with two skinny caregivers, like, mm-mm.
Not just skinny, but not well muscular
Mm-hmm.
people. Like, yeah, it's not great. It's not great. Mm. You guys, the brain cell really is a thing. Like, I can't. I
Ping,
can't.
ping, 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 ding, 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 ding.
We're like orange cats.
There's so many times where, like, we just did it earlier, where we were talking about something and then was like, oh, I had the same idea.
Yeah,
We do that so often.
every day, all day long. Finish each other's sentences and everything.
In person, over text, on the phone. The craziest part is when we message each other, like, so I was thinking, and then, no way. I had the same thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait, what do you mean?
Or my favorite is when we literally message the same thing at the same time.
And then we'll be like, oh.
Oh. Oh, excuse me. I don't know. I feel like this episode's going to be pretty short because, I mean,
Yeah.
Hoyer safety is important. And I do think that we've said pretty much everything we can say on the topic at this
Yep.
point.
There's really not much else to say. Maybe at some point, if more of the trials like publicized, we might do an update on it. But at this point, yeah, there's really not much else to say. Just be very careful. Sometimes in healthcare, there are things where you can kind of like develop your own habits and let things slip a little bit.
I'm so sorry.
This is one of those times where you just can't do that. You have to do it the way that you've been taught, the correct way, from the first time ever all the way up until the last time you ever do it. Like, it's one of those things that you cannot skip out on.
Yeah, no. So we're all taught in our classes for CBRF and AFH cares how to operate those machines, and they are just that. They are machines. They're not going to care if somebody falls out of them. They're there to do their job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, like I said earlier, just proceed with caution because, again, it can literally happen to anybody at any point. I don't know what the heck I was going to say. No. I believe that's it. I don't have any other closing thoughts.
Yeah, me either. Just be safe.
Well, I was just giving it to you so they could hear you because now I have to do the thing.
Okay, do the thing.
Julie, do the thing. You can find us on Facebook and TikTok at Boss Ravioli Queens. You can also email us, bossravioliqueens@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, follow, and hit the notification bell so you can get notified every single time we post a new episode. Also, don't forget to leave us comments. We like to see them. We like to respond to them, especially now that we know we get comments.
Yeah, that part.
Until next time, mini raviolis. Bye.